without where you used to fit. I tried to replace the feeling, but nothing felt the same. Not because they were different, but because they didn't know my name the way you did. Soft and slow, like you understood parts of me I never showed. Stay low, you don't need to become who you were before. Some love opens you, then closes the door. Stay low, you don't need to undo what is done. Some endings exist to help you become someone. I don't see you as a loss anymore. I see you as a change, a moment that shifted something I couldn't rearrange. You didn't break my heart, you revealed it, you showed me it was alive, even when I concealed it. And now when I move through the quiet, I don't feel empty or small. I feel someone who has loved deeply and survived it all. You didn't stay beside me, but you stayed in my truth. You were never my forever, but you were my proof. I still remember the way you said my name like it mattered to you. Not loud, not dramatic, just honest and true. There was something in your eyes that made me feel seen. Not for who I pretended to be, but for who I had been. I didn't have to explain myself. You understood all the silence I carried, all the misunderstood. We didn't try to promise forever. We didn't pretend. We just lived inside moments without needing an end. I didn't know how rare that was, how fragile and real, to be loved without pressure, just allowed to feel. Stay low, you don't need to go back and repair. Some love already gave you more than you share. Stay low, you don't need to relive what is gone. Some people leave, but their truth stays on. I stopped wishing for another chance or another start, because You just smiled and left. No heavy words, no breaking sound, just a quiet theft. You took nothing I could hold, nothing I could see, but something inside me shifted so silently. I walked home that night alone under empty light, feeling older than I was without knowing why. There was no one left to blame, no wrong, no right, just the truth that some souls don't stay in your life. I used to think love meant staying no matter what. Now I know sometimes loving means letting it stop. Stay low, you don't need to follow what has gone. Some love leaves you stronger even when it's done. Stay low, you don't need to fill the empty air. Some absence teach you how to care, how to care. I still remember how you saw me before I hit, before I learned to protect everything I did. You didn't try to change me, you didn't demand, you just stood beside me and held my hand. That version of me still exists somewhere inside. Not broken, not lost, just changed by the tide. And even now in quiet moments I feel it true. I'm not the same person I was with you. I'm softer in places I used to be stone, because loving you once taught me I'm not alone. There was a night I almost told you everything. All the things I kept inside, but you look so stay low. You don't need to relive every part. Some memories live better in the heart. Stay low. You don't need to know where it went. Some love leaves quietly without intent. I don't look for you anymore in every phase. I've learned to let you live in your own space. Not as someone I lost, but as someone I knew. Someone who helped me see life from a different view. You taught me how to be open without fear. How to trust a moment just because it's here. And even though we didn't stay side by side, you left something in me that never died. Now when I drive through the night alone, I don't feel incomplete. I feel someone who loved deeply and survived the retreat. show me who I am. Someone capable of loving without needing a plan. And now I move forward quietly through whatever comes next. Not afraid of the losing again. Not afraid. Oh, what's left? meant everything to me. We didn't fall apart loudly, no final fight. Just two people slowly fading into separate minds. I kept hoping something would change without asking you to try, because I know real love doesn't force someone to stay or alive. There are words I never said but still live in me, not heavy, not painful, just unfinished. Quietly, sometimes I replay those moments in my head, not to go back, but to honor what we had. Stay low, you don't need to fix what time has done. Some stories end and they've just begun. Stay low, you don't need to carry regret. Some love was real, even when it I don't wonder if you miss me like before. I've made peace with what we were. You were never a mistake, you were a part of my way, a moment that helped me grow, even when you didn't stay. And now when I see someone smile the way you used to do at all break, I just remember you. Not with sadness, not with fear, but with quiet gratitude that you were here. Stay low, stay low. I remember the night you told me nothing, but said everything. Just sitting there beside me, letting silence sing. You looked tired but peaceful, like you understood that some things don't need saving, even when you could. I wanted to ask you to stay, I wanted to try, but something inside me knew love shouldn't have to beg or cry. So I let the moment pass like falling snow, knowing I would miss it more than you would ever know. There's a space you left behind that never filled. Not broken, not empty, just forever still. Sometimes I wonder who you are now, if you found your way, if someone else now hears the things you used to say. Stay low, you don't need to reach across the past. Some connections were never built to last. Stay low, you don't need to reopen that door. Some love lives on without needing more. I stopped trying to understand why it had to end. Some people come into your life just to help you mend, not to stay forever, not to remain, but to show you parts of yourself hidden in pain. And now when I think of you, I don't fall apart. I just remember how it felt to open my heart. You didn't leave me ruined, you left me awake. You taught me how to love without needing to take. And that's something no ending can ever erase. You became a quiet strength I carry through every place. I didn't notice the exact moment you became a memory. There was no clear ending, no final clarity, just fewer messages, longer space between replies, until your absence settled like truth that never lies. I told myself it was nothing, just life moving on. But deep down I knew something permanent was gone. Not in a tragic way, not in a storm, just in that quiet way where silence becomes the norm. I still remember the warmth of your presence near, how everything felt lighter when you were here. You never had Stay low, you don't need to chase what has passed. Some things are beautiful because they didn't last. Stay low, you don't need to understand the why. Some souls just meet, then say goodbye. I stop blaming time, stop blaming fate. Some love arrives gently and leaves just as quiet, but it doesn't leave you empty. It leaves you changed, more open, more aware, more rearranged. Now when I think of you, I don't feel pain. I feel something softer, like calm after rain. You were never mine to keep, and I was never yours to hold. We were just two passing lights in the cold, and somehow there was enough to make me see who I was and who I could be. There was a version of me who believed you would stay, not forever, not perfectly, but in some quiet way. I didn't need promises, I didn't need plans, I just needed the feeling of your hand in mine. We used to sit without speaking, watching nothing at all, and somehow in that nothing I felt 10 feet tall. You never tried to own me, you never tried to control. You just stood beside my chaos and made me feel whole. Love exists only once in a lifetime span. Stay low, you don't need to rewrite the end. Some people ride just to help you mend. Asking where you are now, everything is done. But sometimes in the quietest hours, I still feel you near. Not as a person, but as something sincere. You taught me how to roam without fear of the fall, how to let someone see me without hiding at all. And even though we disappeared from each other's days, you left something gentle in me that never fades. Now I move forward slowly without needing to know why. Some love doesn't stay with you, but never says goodbye. I saw someone who moved like you from far away. For a second my heart forgot you weren't here to stay. It wasn't pain, it wasn't shock, just something soft, like a memory rising slowly, then drifting on. I kept walking like nothing happened through the night, but inside something old came back to life. Not to hurt me, not to break, just to remind me there are things about you I still carry in me. And still trust I'm not broken by your absence. I'm awake. You didn't destroy You ever waste up, oh, let me be. You ever racing, oh, let me be. You ever racing, the way you let me be. You ever racing, the way you let me be. I remember the way you looked at me when nothing was said, like you could hear the thoughts I never let leave my head. We didn't need to fill the silence, it felt complete. Just sitting there together with your hand touching my sleeve. I was afraid of how calm it made me, how real it felt, like something in my chest was finally starting to melt. I had spent so long protecting myself from feeling too much. I forgot how powerful it was just to be touched. Now that calm life somewhere distant, but still alive. In quiet moments when I'm driving with nowhere to ride. Stay low, you don't have to replace what was true. Some connections only happen once in you. Stay low, you don't have to erase the past to move on. Some love stays with you, even when it's gone. I don't wish things were different anymore. I understand. We were never meant to stay forever, just to expand. I passed the place where we first stayed too long, talking in your car. Neither of us wanted the night to end or go too far. You leaned your head back and closed your eyes, like you felt safe there, like the world couldn't reach you as long as I was near. I didn't know how rare that was. I didn't know it then, how something so simple could never happen again. Now the seat beside me stays empty, but it's not cold. It just holds the outline of something I used to hold. speak out loud without thinking why. Like part of me believes you might still reply. Stay low, you don't have to hide what you feel. Some absences stay with you because they were real. Stay low, you don't have to force yourself to be strong. Some hearts take longer to understand where they belong. I don't regret the way it ended or began. We were never meant to last forever, just as long as we can. And maybe that was always enough, even now, 'cause I'm not the same person you once knew somehow. You changed something quiet inside me that stayed, not loud, not broken, just permanently rearranged. And when I drive alone at night, I don't feel alone. I feel the echo of who I was and how I've grown. I didn't realize the last time was the last. We just said goodbye, like there would always be another night, another try. You smile in that quiet way you had, like nothing could break, like time wasn't already calling us in different shapes. Now I drive through streets that still remember who we were, and every empty window, and every distant blur. I keep thinking I'll see you somewhere by surprise, standing under the same pale lights, looking in my eyes. But some things don't return to you, they just live inside, in the spaces you don't show, in the places you hide. Stay that's enough to carry through the years. Not the loss, not the silence, but the truth we shared. I'm still here, still breathing, still becoming someone new. Not because I forgot you, but because I had to move through. And somewhere in that quiet acceptance, I found peace. Not in getting you back, but in finally letting you teach me how to feel. what's left.